Just checking a few things. Microphone. Oops. Hi, I don't know if you guys can hear me. We just recorded a show. Hi, Leah. We've just recorded a show, and we've got Craig Kelly. Um, Craig Kelly. We've got Zoe on. That's the young mother who was arrested. Um, we've got Morgan is on, and we've got Carla Bonner from Neighbours, who's going to come on, and they're going to come on and stuff. So I'm just downloading it now, and then I'm going to upload the show. So it's got about um, 9 minutes. So I've got 9 minutes to fill, and then I shall upload the show.
Stuff, brother.
And it's over there. So we've been in Ballarat today. I'll just see if we can get some more light on my face. We've been in Ballarat today. Yesterday was amazing. I wonder if I get this here. Hold on. What does this come up as?
Sorry?
What does this speaker come up as? I'll plug it in. 2 secs. I'm just plugging in a different mic. Let's see if I get this mic come up. Audio. Hello. Oh, that's it. So, hi. So it's a bit windy here, but it's been a beautiful day in Ballarat. There were marches here. They were talking somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 people. They actually closed the Eureka Museum. So we were actually here to celebrate the Battle of the Eureka Stockade, and they actually shut down the Eureka Museum. And not only the Eureka Museum, but they shut down everything. They shut down all the stores because they didn't want the protesters here. Now, I've been told by locals it's because it's a really strong Labor stronghold, and so maybe that, I don't know, but it's extraordinary because we talk about this in the show a bit. What's the most extraordinary thing is that all those who hate us, and apparently the age is already calling us right-wing neo-Nazis and all this, they can't see the beauty. So if you actually look at the photos I took yesterday and you look at all the live feed footage, you see that the people are actually joyous. And these people have lost everything. They've lost their jobs. They're really struggling to survive. And you get them together, and it's like all they need is each other. I mean, it's extraordinary. So the other thing too. Now, Craig Kelly is coming on. He's going to address the Romeo fallout. So Romeo is attacking him like crazy, and so Craig Cole, I think had a go too. So we're giving Craig Kelly, who happened to be here, the right of reply. So he's going to come on, and Damien did an interview with him. We got 6 minutes left. Damien did an interview with him. So it'd be interesting to see what you guys think. I didn't actually hear the interview. But yesterday, the reason we didn't get on is that after the march, there was a get-together of a lot of the independent media people, and so we got together and we basically brainstormed what we're going to do. I've got 6 minutes to fill, and then I can upload it. So I actually brainstormed what we're going to do and organizing. And I think this is what's happening after the bill, the defeat of the bill. I was really worried it was going to destroy us, but in actual fact, I think it's going okay. We did it. We organically afford it. We stayed on the steps. We marched, but we were disorganized, and we came close. You know, it was 2 votes, and then we lost. Now I think we're getting seriously organised, realising our power, realising too. I mean, we've got our latest thing is that we're taking. We think you guys, we should all get a tab running of who will be the first of us to end up in a camp. Will it be Topher? Will Monica Smith go back in? Will it be? Will it be Damien? My money's on Damien. Will it be me? Will it be Morgan? Who knows? Maybe someone else will stand up and do something. I mean, that's the world we're actually living in. Now, when we go live with this next footage, it'll look a lot better than this. We used a different camera. This is my webcam camera, and the webcam's doing pretty well. So I'll go live. Hopefully, it'll live. The other interesting thing to stick around with is Zoe is here. Zoe was the mother who was arrested in a house. Remember, she actually put up she tried to start a march in Ballarat. The next minute, a house is full of these people, and they arrested her, handcuffed her, and took her away. Another interesting thing that. Oh, 1 minute almost. Another interesting. Where is it? Show in folder. It's in admin users video. Okay. Another interesting thing is that we're getting Carla Bonner on because it's just blokes. So we want to get a woman on doing maybe shows just with her. And we talk about this in the show. And getting people on that maybe one thing we're very interested in is eating disorders because it's epidemic at the moment and the girls are really suffering from it, and they're suffering alone. Even if they've got the people around them caring for them, they're suffering alone. And so we're very interested in doing a show about that with Carla. The other interesting thing to do with her is families where one parent wants the kids jabbed, another parent doesn't. And the other show is nurses. We met a lot of nurses today, and the nurses want to come on. So we've got 18 seconds left, and then I'm going to see if I can get this video to pop up, and then I'll let this video run out. And I have to say, yesterday too, the march yesterday was extraordinary. Apparently the trains were blocked, or there was something wrong with the train, so it took people a lot longer to get there than usual. But when they did turn up, when we were walking down Burke Street, it was just an enormous river of people. It was really beautiful. And then we went from there, went to the ABC, said hello, but they wouldn't let us in. I don't know why. We knocked. And it was really interesting. So here comes the show. Let's see if this works. And I'll bring it over with me to make sure it's coming up. I think it's going to work. Enjoy the show.
Gentlemen,
Back tomorrow in full, and hopefully it'll work. Take care.
Okay. Hello, 2221. 22. No, we're not. Checking. 21222. We are live on Cafe Locked-Out. I got the great sign from the tech man. Well, it seems to say we're live here. We've been running now for 25 seconds, so I'm assuming we're going to live on this. I've just got the word from the tech man who just said that'll do for the sound. So you know when you hear that'll do, they'll be right. There's Michael Greg Griffiths coming to frame there now. We're live. As per usual, this is a professional operation, and you can tell it is by the backdrop that we're using here, which is a park, basically. It's a park in it's a park in Ballarat for the Eureka weekend. I think it's 1854 was the Eureka uprising.
167th anniversary this year.
167th anniversary this year. There was 30 diggers killed in that uprising when Governor Hotham came in too hard for wanting licenses from the diggers. And I believe there was 6 troopers that were fatalities as well. So it just goes to show that the state in the state of Victoria, can fire more than just rubber bullets on the population. It has had a history of it. But we've got the Right Honourable Kelly here. He addressed the crowd today, and as he did yesterday in Melbourne too, which I heard more of yesterday in Melbourne. Well done, mate. But I was talking to Craig before, and he's got like personal details, like which is a potential vaccine injury, but it might not be. But he's uncertain about it with his son. And Craig was telling me about that, so I'd just like to ask him what's happened with your son there, Craig.
Oh, look, we're talking now 25 years ago when my son was born. He was born with that Down syndrome. I try not to make too much of this, but people call me an anti-vaxxer, so I think it's important that I address it. He was born with Down syndrome, and that was comes as a great shock, and it's something you wish upon no parent. And when he was 3, he had his normal vaccinations, and from that day afterwards of those vaccinations, he hasn't spoken a word since.
And was he speaking before then?
He was developing his language slowly with the Down syndrome as an intellectual disability. He was developing slowly, but he was able to say a few words, mum, dad, sort of thing, but he lost all language after those vaccines.
Has he been diagnosed as being autistic?
Yes, he is a significant autism. So he doesn't have any language now at the age of 25. But that's not the reason why I'm so passionate about this cause, about the mandates. It's issues of freedom.
Before I get to that, Craig, and I want to come to that straight away, I just wanted to, like that about your son, that happening to your son. Is there like a certain amount of, I know with my children, there's guilt. I have a lot of guilt as a parent about how their life could be or should have been if only. Is there guilt there for you in that respect?
Of course there is. Of course there is. You want to try and do the best that you can for your kids. That's just natural sort of thing. And look, it makes you also respect and value everyone's life. In his little world, he's safe and he's happy and he's comfortable, and that's all you can wish for. You think back that should have you done this? Should have you done this? What if? And you can't undo those things, and you can't let those things eat away at you forever. Otherwise, you can't function. And if you're not functioning as a normal person, you're not doing the best thing by your kids. So you've got to try and sort of park those ideas and just get on with life and make the best of every single day.
And see, you're getting a bit emotional there, Craig. And no, it's just the truth. I notice at the moment I'm finding myself getting quite emotional at times about life, because there's something else being asked of me, something else being asked of all of us at this time, because it's such a trying time in the Australian community. Often people are coming up to me because of my association with the show, and they're just saying to me, wow, thanks so much for doing this show. And then suddenly they're overwhelmed with emotions, and someone's crying and I'm holding them or I'm not holding them or whatever, and they're saying, I'm so sorry, I wish I wasn't crying. you finding that more when you walk around the Australian community at the moment?
Today or this weekend in Melbourne's been pretty tough. There's so many people that come up to me with just such tragic stories about how their lives have been just totally ruined. Like there was example, there was a guy he was a forklift driver from the Philippines. He says all I want to do, he lives at home with his mum, 60 years old. He says all I want to do is just go to work, enjoy my odd beer in here. He says they've stopped me from working because I'm not injected. I spoke to a doctor here, and she said she'd migrated out from Malaysia because here we have more freedoms, and those freedoms have been taken away from her. I spoke to a lady that was she was a animal rescuer, and so she's rescuing animals, right, on the side of the road, a volunteer, and they told her that she can't do her job. I spoke to a young guy that says he's lost everything, that went to the Salvation Army as the last stop to try and get, and he's not let in the Salvation Army store because he's not injected. This just story after story after story of just insanity. It was insanity since I walked into this place. I got into Melbourne Airport and I had a car. So rather than I can get a Comcar as which is a government car to drive me around, but I prefer to drive myself. I'm not a very good passenger at times, I must admit. I'd rather drive and I can go where I want. So I'd organised to hire a car, and that I could go up to Ballarat, up here. And I went and I had all my signs with me. I had a lot of the freedom signs. I had them like on a trolley, a baggage trolley sort of thing. The baggage guys are giving me a good cheer, and people give me a cheer as I go to the airport. I thought, yeah, bugger all. I'm not frightened to hide these signs sort of thing. So I went to the check-in counter. It was the budget one at Melbourne Airport. I said, here's my driver's license, mate. You got a booking under Craig Kelly? He says, you got your vaccine certificate. And I thought he was joking. Right? I seriously thought this is a joke. I thought, yeah, mate, you've seen the signs, I'm leading the charge against all these vaccine certificates. He asked me the vaccine certificate. And then this shock came over me, and it was true. I could not hire a car in the state of Victoria unless I had a vaccine certificate. And then just to be at the top of Burke Street Mall yesterday, and it was before the crowds got there. It was about 10 o'clock, and I would try to go around and get a cup of coffee. You could see the despair and the destruction that it's happened. Like what should be prime real estate there from Parliament House straight down Burke Street Mall was boarded up shops. It was dirty. There was graffiti. It wasn't the Melbourne that I'd always, there was always the hustle and bustle, and every second person, everyone had a cup of coffee in their hand, and everyone was like dressed everyone was really like, everyone in Melbourne would dress a lot better than they would in Sydney. And it was that sort of sophistication, and it was just to just come here and to hear these stories of despair and people just not knowing where their lives are going and losing their direction, and for nonsense. Look, You look at the science, you look at the data, all the science says this is just complete rubbish. Right? You look at the data of the UK, you are more likely to have COVID if you've been injected. And they're forcing mandates upon people. It is just beyond the pale what's doing it. And now we're here today, they want to start injecting 5-year-old kids. Oh, come on. And when enough people are going to wake up to say enough is enough, we have health bureaucrats that are totally out of control in this country. They're ignoring the science and ignoring the data. And the harm that they are doing to the society is just immeasurable.
It's the inconsistencies, isn't it, Craig? Like you said, because as a federal parliamentarian, you're allowed to fly, obviously unvaccinated. Now, I couldn't fly unvaccinated, but you're not allowed to hire a car. So you can get to Victoria, but then you can't move around Victoria. That's
just so I can fly from Sydney to Melbourne, but I couldn't fly from Sydney to Brisbane, even as a federal parliamentarian. I couldn't fly from Sydney to Adelaide as a parliamentarian. I couldn't fly to Sydney to Hobart or Sydney to Perth. Sydney to Melbourne is one of the few routes that I can fly on, right? So I can sit in a plane, but I couldn't hire a car. Right now, but I could get in a taxi. But this is just the insanity of the legislation.
Were you expected to wear a mask in the plane?
You were, yeah. Looking
until they fed you, I guess, and you're allowed to take your mask off.
When you had your glass of water, because you have there's not the tucker on the plane these days is pretty skinny sort of thing. So, but look, the whole there's just nonsense after nonsense after nonsense, and it is the harm that we are doing to people's lives is it's indescribable. And that's why it was important to come up today here to Ballarat, because of the parallels through history. Now, look, if you go back and you read the history of the Eureka Stockade, it was, what were they ultimately ejecting about? They had to have a piece of paper in their pocket to work. So unless you had that's what it was, the government miner's license, so the government would issue a piece of paper, and without that piece of paper you couldn't work, and the police would come around and demand to see your piece of paper, otherwise they would beat you up and throw you in jail. And here we are 167 years later, and people in Victoria cannot work and denied the right to work unless they've got a digital piece of paper in their pocket issued by the government.
That's what the UAP is about, isn't it? Restoring sort of the ingenuity for the individual to be able to go out and achieve and do what they need to do and not be stopped by government mandate and protocols that just make it impossible for people to live their lives.
When you look at innovation, you're talking about how do you create wealth in society, right? Now, you can't have better hospitals, you can't have better roads and schools and everything unless you create the wealth. Remember, we as government have no money at all. We rely on people out there building and making and growing things, right? And selling things to create the wealth, to add value to the economy. And you're taking that in, and that all comes about by someone saying, you know what, I think I can do this bit better, or I've got an idea that is better than what the status quo is. And that's how we progress as a almost as a species, as a society, people say that I've got a better idea, and you trial, and 99 out of 100 of those ideas don't work. But the one that does, you've got to be able to roll it out and copy it. And that's why we've been able to build this wonderful society in the 167 years since the Eureka Stockade.
So, Craig, too, just like you flew into a bit of your own political storm, not just the storm that's happening in Melbourne anyway, because someone who was there, very instrumental, maybe not even instrumental, but at the inception, if you like, of you becoming the leader of the UAP, a guy called Romeo Georges, and I saw some of his earlier podcasts, and he was so excited about what the potential for change might be. And then he's just come out and he dumped on you a couple of days ago. I know I had about 8 different people direct me to that actual Twitter rant that he had. So could you just talk a bit about that?
It was very sad to see him do that, and it was very disappointing that he didn't at least say to me, "Someone's told me this. What's your response?" And basically, almost everything he said was false. Now, where I don't think he's done it intentionally, I think someone's got into his head and told him a whole lot of false things, which he's repeated. And also, too, at one stage, he did want money from the UAP or from Palmer's organisation to do the blogging and like you're doing. Look, I spoke with Clive about that, and his opinion was we don't want to be having cash for comment, right? We want to have, if people, community, independent journalists are reporting on what we're doing and they support us, it's got to come from their heart and their conscience, not because we're putting cash in their pocket. That's and that was the policy.
And did he accept that? Did he accept that at the time?
Well, yeah. Look, I said I try my best to see what I could do. That was the policy, and I think after that it seemed to never be the same. So that was disappointing.
It's difficult though, isn't it? I think a lot of people maybe are politically naive and they don't understand how the political system works, because if you run for parliament, you're not getting paid for any of the running you do, and you only get paid if you win the prize. Even if you come a close second, there's nothing you're gone. And it can, depending on who you've run for, it can cause a lot of difficulty, and it could cause a lot of difficulty running for the UAP because there's no friend of the media, clearly, and the mainstream. So I think maybe there's a bit of political naivety on Romeo's part.
We'll give all our candidates as much support we can. We make sure that they won't have to basically put their hand in their pocket to do things, but they'll have to basically put in a lot of their own time. That's what they'll require them to do. Now, some candidates thought, if I become a United Australia candidate, I get paid money. Now I explain that's not the case, right? We don't pay. We want people that are run.
People just think Clive's a bit of a cash cow, and that means they're going to just dip in and get a bit of cash.
Yeah. Look, unfortunately, that's how some people think. But it was more specifically some of the things that he said that really disappointed me, and have actually the only winner out of this is Dan Andrews and people like Scott Morrison. They run. Who are you going to preference? Who are you going to preference, right? You're going to give your preferences. You're going to give your votes to another party. Look, this is just complete and utter nonsense.
What would the criticism